The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. False relationships can be hard to identify, just as it's challenging to distinguish a mirage from an oasis in the vast desert of human interaction. In a world full of meetings and mismatches, where masks of cordiality and self-interest are skillfully worn, discovering who truly cares for us is an art that requires not just intuition, but also a sharp eye. Sometimes we end up believing too much in the goodness and goodwill of others, when what's really happening is that we're just being used. Just like a skilled gardener who knows how to distinguish the plants that nourish from those that suck the nutrients from the soil, we must learn to identify those who, in our lives, are true allies, but we must also recognize those who are emotional parasites. Therefore, we will now talk about subtle signs and less obvious patterns that reveal the hidden intentions behind forced smiles and empty promises. If you are here, it's because you are interested in personal development. In this content, we will talk about the wisdom of deciphering these human enigmas, illuminating the path to more authentic and rewarding relationships. Before we start, I would like to ask you to make sure to watch this video until the end, as all the content is important. Be strong and stay focused. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the music channel. Number 15. Failure to fulfill promises. This act of making and breaking promises can be likened to a theatrical performance, where words are the actors and actions are the neglected script. These individuals have mastered the art of verbal persuasion, painting vivid pictures of commitment and support. However, their words are often devoid of the substance of action. They create expectations with the flourish of a painter, but when the time comes to turn these painted dreams into reality, they falter, revealing the emptiness of their assurances. In such relationships, a pattern emerges. When their support is most needed, when their promise is due for delivery, these individuals often vanish, leaving a void filled with disappointment and disillusionment. This absence in times of need is not just a breach of trust, it is a clear indicator of their true motivations. Their promises are tools for manipulation, designed to extract value, trust, or support with no intention of reciprocation. Failure to fulfill promises, therefore, becomes a litmus test of sorts. It distinguishes between those who value relationships as a two-way street of mutual respect and support, and those who see relationships merely as avenues for personal gain. For those left in the lurch, the experience often brings a painful but valuable lesson. Not all promises are built on the foundation of honesty and integrity. So, the failure to fulfill promises is a critical behavior to observe in understanding and identifying individuals who may seek to use others. It is a behavior that speaks louder than the most eloquent of words, revealing a person's true character and intention. In recognizing this pattern, one can learn to navigate the complex terrain of human relationships with a more discerning eye, safeguarding their trust and emotional investment. Number 14. Diminishing or disdainful comments. Individuals who habitually use others as stepping stones for their personal gain are adept at deploying diminutive remarks as a tool for erosion, eroding self-esteem, confidence, and the sense of self-worth in their targets. These comments, sometimes cloaked in the guise of humor or casual banter, are in fact barbed hooks designed to pull down rather than uplift. They may trivialize your successes, scoff at your aspirations, or appear disinterested and unresponsive to your struggles and challenges. This behavior is akin to a subtle psychological warfare. By systematically undervaluing your achievements and aspirations, these individuals create an imbalance in the relationship. It's a calculated move to ensure that you remain in a position of self-doubt and diminished self-esteem, making you more susceptible to manipulation and control. In their eyes, your diminished self-worth elevates their status, solidifying their position of dominance in the relationship. Moreover, such disdainful remarks are often a reflection of their own insecurities and feelings of inadequacy. By belittling others, they attempt to mask their own vulnerabilities and project a facade of superiority. This behavior is a telltale sign of their inability to engage in healthy, supportive, and reciprocal relationships. Recognizing and understanding this pattern of behavior is crucial. It enables you to see through the veil of superficial charm that such individuals often wear and to understand the underlying toxic dynamics of the relationship. It serves as a warning to either address the behavior with the individual directly, setting clear boundaries, or to distance oneself from such a toxic environment. Number 13. Unilateral benefit. This can manifest in various facets of a relationship, be it financial, emotional, or practical. Financially, the user may frequently borrow money or resources with promises of repayment or reciprocity that never materialize. Emotionally, they might lean heavily on the other for support, validation, and attention, yet offer little to nothing in return when the roles are reversed. Practically, they could habitually seek favors, assistance, or time, yet be conspicuously absent or too busy when their counterpart needs help. This one-sidedness is akin to a parasitic relationship in nature, where one organism benefits at the expense of the other. The user, like a parasite, draws nourishment, in this case, emotional, financial, or practical support, without contributing equally or adequately to the well-being of their host. Over time, this lack of reciprocity can deplete the giver's resources, be they emotional, financial, or temporal, leaving them drained and unfulfilled. The motives behind unilateral benefit are often rooted in a deep-seated self-centeredness and a lack of empathy. The user views relationships through a transactional lens, assessing interactions based on what they stand to gain rather than what they can contribute. This approach to relationships is fundamentally flawed, as it overlooks the inherent value of mutual respect, support, and give and take. Identifying this pattern requires a discerning eye. It involves recognizing the persistent lack of reciprocity and the feeling of being perpetually shortchanged in the relationship. It calls for an honest assessment of whether the interactions leave you feeling valued and respected, or used and undervalued. Number 12. Disregard for your needs or feelings. This pattern of behavior, where one's emotional landscape is consistently ignored or devalued, is akin to tending a garden where only one flower is allowed to bloom while the others are neglected. In such interactions, the user's needs and desires are prioritized, while yours are sidelined or dismissed. Their actions and words become the shears that trim away at your emotional well-being, leaving you feeling undervalued and invisible in the relationship. This disregard can manifest in various forms. It might be evident in the way they routinely overlook your emotional needs, failing to provide support or understanding in times when you are vulnerable or in need. It could be seen in their indifference to your opinions and choices, where your voice is drowned out by their dominating narrative. They may neglect to acknowledge your achievements or, worse, minimize your struggles, making light of the issues that weigh heavily on you. Such behavior is not merely insensitive, it's a calculated neglect, a tool used to maintain an upper hand in the relationship. By invalidating your feelings and needs, the user creates an environment where your self-worth is undermined, thereby making you more susceptible to their influence and control. It is a form of emotional manipulation, subtly executed but with significant impact. This dynamic is particularly damaging because it strikes at the very core of one's emotional well-being. The need to be heard, understood, and valued is fundamental. When these needs are repeatedly ignored, it can lead to a decline in self-esteem and a feeling of isolation, even when you are in a seemingly active relationship. To navigate such waters, it is essential to recognize the signs of emotional neglect. This awareness becomes a beacon, guiding you away from relationships where your emotional well-being is at risk. It empowers you to seek connections where reciprocity, respect, and mutual care are the foundational pillars. Number 11. Emotional manipulation. It often starts insidiously, with the manipulator presenting themselves as caring and attentive. However, this facade quickly morphs into a mechanism for inducing feelings of anxiety, inadequacy, or guilt in their target. They become adept at pushing emotional buttons, praising to elevate you when it suits their purpose, then sharply criticizing or undermining you to create self-doubt and dependency. Consider the analogy of a gardener and a delicate plant. A caring gardener nurtures, providing just the right amount of water and sunlight. In contrast, the emotional manipulator, like a negligent gardener, alternates between overwatering and leaving the plant to wither in drought. They use emotional extremes to destabilize, creating an environment where the target becomes emotionally dependent, constantly seeking the manipulator's approval and validation to regain that initial sense of warmth. This manipulation often targets the very core of one's emotional well-being. They may trivialize your accomplishments or magnify your failures to keep you in a perpetual state of self-doubt. They might twist situations to make you feel guilty for normal actions, shifting the blame to ensure you are always the one apologizing. In relationships where emotional manipulation is at play, the balance of power is always skewed. The manipulator holds the reins, deciding when to offer affection and when to withdraw it, keeping their target off balance. This dynamic is not about mutual growth or support. It's about feeding the manipulator's needs at the expense of the other's emotional health. Identifying emotional manipulation requires a keen awareness of these dynamics. It involves recognizing the patterns of interaction where one's feelings are consistently toyed with. It calls for introspection to understand how these interactions affect one's sense of self and emotional well-being. Number 10. Lack of genuine support. Envision a tree in a vast forest. Ideally, it is supported by the surrounding trees and undergrowth, receiving nutrients, shelter, and mutual protection. However, in a relationship characterized by a lack of genuine support, you stand as a solitary tree in a barren landscape, where the supposed support structure is weak, inconsistent, or non-existent. This absence of genuine support becomes evident in times of need. When you face challenges, struggles, or moments of vulnerability, the support you receive from these individuals is superficial at best. They may offer token gestures of help, words that sound supportive but lack sincerity and follow-through. Their assistance is often conditional, based on what they can gain rather than a genuine desire to help. This behavior starkly contrasts with a truly supportive relationship, where mutual care and assistance are given freely and without hidden motives. In a healthy relationship, support is not a currency, but an expression of mutual respect and concern. It's about being there for each other through thick and thin, offering a shoulder to lean on and a hand to hold without keeping score. In the absence of genuine support, you are left to navigate life's challenges alone, even while ostensibly being in a relationship. This creates a sense of isolation and loneliness, eroding your emotional resilience and well-being. It becomes clear that the relationship serves the needs of one party, leaving the other to fend for themselves. Recognizing this lack of genuine support is crucial. It involves taking a step back and objectively assessing the dynamics of the relationship. Are your needs met with sincere efforts and concern, or are they brushed aside with empty promises? Do you feel a sense of solidarity and mutual care, or are you left to weather the storms of life on your own? Understanding this can help you make informed decisions about the relationships you nurture and those you may need to reconsider. Number 9. Exploitation of resources. Consider a stream flowing through a lush valley. Ideally, this stream nourishes the land, sustaining both flora and fauna in a balanced ecosystem. However, when exploitation occurs, it is akin to the stream being diverted and depleted to serve the needs of a single, selfish entity, leaving the surrounding landscape parched and barren. In the context of relationships, this exploitation manifests as a relentless siphoning of your resources, be they financial, emotional, or material, without any intention of fair exchange or reciprocity. The user views these resources not as shared assets, but as supplies to be commandeered and consumed for their own benefit. Financially, this could involve incessant borrowing with no intention of repayment, or manipulating you into covering their expenses under various pretexts. Emotionally, they might drain your energy by constantly seeking your support and validation, while offering little to none in return. Materially, they could habitually take advantage of your possessions or hospitality without consideration or gratitude. This behavior creates a lopsided dynamic where you are continually giving, and they are incessantly taking, leading to a depletion of your resources and emotional well-being. The relationship becomes a one-way street, with your generosity being exploited rather than appreciated. Recognizing this exploitation requires a conscious evaluation of the relationship's balance. Are your contributions matched by genuine gratitude and reciprocation, or are they met with a sense of entitlement and expectation? Do you feel enriched and supported, or drained and used? Understanding these dynamics is crucial in identifying relationships that are unhealthy and potentially harmful. It empowers you to set boundaries and seek connections that are grounded in mutual respect and fairness. Number 8. Frequent lies or deception. This pattern of behavior is akin to walking through a house of mirrors, where reflections are distorted and reality is obscured. The individual's words and actions create an intricate web of falsehoods, making it difficult to discern truth from deception. In such relationships, the user employs lies and deceit as tools to manipulate and control. They fabricate stories to elicit sympathy, concoct excuses to avoid responsibility, or exaggerate their own importance to gain admiration and influence. This deception serves their agenda, ensuring they remain at the center of attention and maintain their power over others. These lies can range from minor fabrications to significant falsehoods, but the cumulative effect is the erosion of trust. Each lie, like a crack in a foundation, weakens the stability of the relationship. Over time, the constant barrage of deceit undermines your ability to trust not only the individual, but also your own judgment and perceptions. The user's manipulation extends to creating a narrative that serves their needs, often at the expense of your reality. They might gaslight you, making you doubt your own experiences and memories. This creates a sense of confusion and dependency, as you begin to question your own understanding of events and rely more on their distorted version of reality. Identifying this pattern of frequent lies and deception is crucial for safeguarding your emotional and psychological well-being. It involves recognizing inconsistencies in their stories, patterns of avoidance when confronted with the truth, and the emotional turmoil their deceit causes. Understanding these signs enables you to see through the facade and make informed decisions about the health and viability of the relationship. Number 7. Taking advantage of your kindness. This behavior is akin to a guest who, upon being welcomed into a home, continually oversteps their bounds, taking more than what is offered and showing little regard for the host's generosity. In relationships, this manifests as a continual expectation and exploitation of your kindness, without any intention of reciprocity or gratitude. The individual views your kindness not as a gift to be appreciated, but as a resource to be exploited. They rely on your willingness to help, your empathy, and your generous nature, using these traits to their advantage. This could involve consistently asking for favors, expecting you to go out of your way to accommodate them, or manipulating your compassionate nature to meet their needs. Over time, this exploitation of your kindness leads to a sense of being taken for granted. Your gestures of goodwill are met not with appreciation, but with expectation, as if your kindness is a given rather than a choice. This dynamic erodes your sense of self-worth and fosters a feeling of being undervalued and used. The user's manipulation lies in their ability to guilt you into compliance, leveraging your own values and compassion against you. They might play on your sense of duty, making you feel responsible for their well-being, or use emotional appeals to secure your assistance. Recognizing this pattern involves understanding the difference between genuine appreciation and manipulative expectation. It's about setting boundaries and ensuring that your kindness is met with respect and reciprocity. It calls for a re-evaluation of the relationship's balance and a willingness to protect your emotional and psychological well-being. Number 6. They play the victim. This behavior is akin to an actor who perpetually casts themselves in the role of the suffering protagonist, drawing sympathy and attention to manipulate others. In relationships, this manifests as a constant portrayal of themselves as the victim of circumstances, other people's actions, or life in general. By adopting this victim mentality, they seek to elicit sympathy, support, and leniency from others. This tactic serves to shift the focus away from their own responsibilities and flaws, casting blame on external factors or other people. It becomes a means to manipulate emotions, ensuring that others feel compelled to help, support, or excuse their behavior. The user's manipulation lies in their ability to craft a narrative where they are always the one wronged, the one who suffers, and the one deserving of special treatment. They may exaggerate their hardships, fabricate or embellish stories of mistreatment, or continuously highlight their struggles, while minimizing or dismissing those of others. This behavior creates a dynamic where you feel obligated to support and protect them, often at the expense of your own well-being. Their constant victimhood can induce feelings of guilt and responsibility in you, making it difficult to set boundaries or assert your own needs. Recognizing this pattern involves seeing through the narrative of perpetual victimhood. It requires understanding the difference between genuine hardship and manipulative behavior designed to elicit sympathy. By identifying this tactic, you can better navigate the relationship, ensuring that your empathy and support are not being exploited. Number 5. Emotional volatility. Imagine a calm sea that can turn into a raging storm without warning. This unpredictability is akin to the emotional landscape of someone who uses others, where calm and stability can give way to intense emotional upheaval at a moment's notice. In relationships, this manifests as sudden and extreme shifts in mood and behavior. The individual might be charming and affectionate one moment, only to become angry, withdrawn, or manipulative the next. This emotional volatility serves to keep others off balance, constantly guessing and adapting to the user's changing moods. The user's manipulation lies in their ability to use this unpredictability as a tool for control. By creating an environment of uncertainty, they ensure that others are always on edge, eager to please and avoid triggering the next emotional outburst. This dynamic fosters a sense of dependency, as you become preoccupied with managing their emotions rather than addressing your own needs and well-being. Emotional volatility also serves to deflect attention from their own actions and responsibilities. In the chaos of their emotional storms, their behavior and shortcomings are often overlooked or excused, as others become focused on restoring peace and stability. Recognizing this pattern involves understanding the impact of their emotional volatility on your own emotional and psychological state. It calls for setting boundaries and seeking stability, ensuring that your well-being is not compromised by their unpredictable behavior. Number 4. Isolation from others. Picture a gardener who, instead of nurturing a plant with the right mix of sunlight and companionship from other plants, isolates it in a shadowy corner, cut off from the sustaining elements it needs to thrive. In relationships, this isolation tactic manifests as a deliberate attempt to sever your connections with friends, family, and other support systems. The user seeks to create an environment where you are solely dependent on them, cutting you off from external perspectives, support, and validation. By isolating you, they ensure that their influence remains unchallenged and that you have fewer avenues for seeking help or recognizing the toxicity of the relationship. This isolation can be achieved through various means. They might subtly criticize or undermine your relationships with others, create conflicts or misunderstandings to drive a wedge between you and your loved ones, or monopolize your time and attention to the point where you have little opportunity to maintain outside connections. The user's manipulation lies in their ability to make you feel that the isolation is for your own good, convincing you that others do not understand or appreciate you as they do. This creates a sense of dependency, where you feel increasingly reliant on the user for emotional support and validation. Recognizing this tactic involves being mindful of your social connections and the impact of the relationship on your ability to maintain them. It's about understanding the value of a diverse support network and resisting attempts to cut you off from those who care about your well-being. Number 3. Constant criticism. Imagine an artist whose every stroke of the brush is met with harsh, unrelenting critique, eroding their confidence and joy in their craft. In relationships, this constant criticism serves as a means of undermining your self-esteem and creating a sense of inadequacy. The individual uses criticism as a tool to maintain control and dominance, ensuring that you remain uncertain of your worth and dependent on their approval. This criticism can take various forms, from overtly harsh and demeaning comments to subtle, undermining remarks disguised as helpful feedback. Over time, this relentless negativity chips away at your self-confidence, fostering a belief that you are inherently flawed and undeserving of better treatment. The user's manipulation lies in their ability to frame their criticism as constructive or necessary, convincing you that they have your best interests at heart. This creates a dynamic where you become increasingly reliant on their approval and validation, seeking to meet their ever-shifting standards. Recognizing this pattern involves understanding the impact of their criticism on your self-esteem and well-being. It's about discerning the difference between genuine, constructive feedback and manipulative criticism designed to undermine and control. By identifying this behavior, you can take steps to protect your self-worth and seek relationships where you are valued and appreciated for who you are. Number 2. Lack of accountability. Picture a captain who, when the ship runs aground, blames the crew, the weather, and the tides, everyone and everything except their own flawed navigation. In relationships, this lack of accountability manifests as a refusal to take responsibility for their actions, mistakes, or shortcomings. The individual deflects blame onto others, external circumstances, or even you, ensuring that they are never held accountable for their behavior. This behavior creates a dynamic where you are constantly left to pick up the pieces and bear the consequences of their actions. The user's manipulation lies in their ability to craft convincing narratives that shift blame and responsibility away from themselves. They might downplay their role in conflicts, rewrite history to portray themselves in a favorable light, or use charm and persuasion to deflect scrutiny. Over time, this lack of accountability erodes your sense of fairness and justice in the relationship. You become conditioned to accept their excuses and justifications, often at the expense of your own needs and boundaries. Recognizing this pattern involves seeing through their deflections and understanding the importance of accountability in a healthy relationship. It's about holding them responsible for their actions and ensuring that your own sense of justice and self-respect is not compromised. Number 1. You are happier when they aren't around. This is perhaps the most telling sign. Imagine a room that feels lighter and more joyful when a particular person leaves, as if their presence had been a weight dragging down the atmosphere. In relationships, this manifests as a noticeable sense of relief, happiness, and well-being when the individual is not around. You find yourself more relaxed, free, and able to enjoy life without the stress, tension, or negativity they bring. This is a clear indicator that the relationship is not nurturing or supportive, but rather draining and detrimental to your happiness. The user's manipulation lies in their ability to make you doubt your own feelings, convincing you that your discomfort is unfounded or that you are responsible for their behavior. They might use guilt, charm, or persuasion to ensure that you remain entangled in the relationship despite the negative impact on your well-being. Recognizing this sign involves trusting your own emotions and perceptions. It's about understanding that your happiness and well-being are paramount and that a truly healthy relationship should enhance, not diminish, your sense of joy and fulfillment. By acknowledging this sign, you empower yourself to seek relationships that are genuinely supportive and enriching. In conclusion, these 10 signs serve as crucial indicators of manipulative and harmful behavior in relationships. By recognizing these patterns, you can take proactive steps to protect your well-being, set healthy boundaries, and cultivate relationships grounded in mutual respect, care, and support.